Straight talk about conscious business collaboration. And today I have a wonderful guest with me, my good friend Corey Jahnke, and we are going to have some fun conversations about regrets today. So how are you doing, Corey?
Oh, fantastic. Beautiful day up here in northern Wisconsin. Even the mosquitoes are taking it easy on us.
It's a little warm here right now. The AC is cranking, absolutely cranking.
Wow.
So I'm very grateful to the AC. So thank you, AC. So you and I think it's been really fun because each of our conversations, you and I are going to be talking about our blog posts that we're writing, and they always seem to have some sort of message in there that you and I can really relate to. So I just recently wrote a post on. Someone had written, it was actually right after New Year's Eve, and someone wrote on their Facebook page, "What do you regret?" And so my answer was, I regret nothing and everything. And people were like, what? What does that mean? And I thought it was kind of interesting that they couldn't understand why I was saying everything and nothing. From my perspective, everything, because of what I know now, I would have done everything differently, right? However, of course, on the other hand of that, I don't really regret anything because everything that I've been through has made me into the person that I am today. So how can you regret who you are today? So I'd love for you to hear your take on that.
Well, I think that we waste a lot of time and energy on all the times we messed up, all the times we screwed up, all the things that we did that we could have done differently. However, most people do the same thing. Most people make the best decision they can given the information they have at the time. Only, of course, hindsight's 20/20. I'm a great believer that when we take that energy that we were using going backwards and totally target it going forward on what am I going to do from here, we become really, really effective.
And I agree with that. One of the things I always attempt to tell people is what you were saying about spending energy on in my terminology is spending energy on the could'ves, should'ves, would'ves,
Yeah.
and the buts, but. So I really get people to use change. It's really funny. It's small twisting semantics of words, except using the words I am in the process of. Today I am. So they're staying in the present and they're using positive words that have action in them versus the woulda, coulda, shouldas, which is beating ourselves up for something that already happened and you can't change it anyway. So why go back there?
Oh, exactly. I made myself a promise about a year ago that I was going to die in what I call hot pursuit. And what that meant is that, every single day I am in hot pursuit of that dream. I'm going after it full force. And part of being in hot pursuit means I'm not going backwards to some place that, like you said, I can't change anyway. My energy is best served going forward so that if I get in a car accident tonight, I know everybody around me knows that I was in hot pursuit of my dreams and making the world a better place for other people. And I think that energy we talk about is best served in that realm, for me at least.
Now, adding to that, we are going to touch a little upon about your latest blog post about the monkeys. And I don't think people realize the monkeys that we have on our back. And we have more than one monkey. We have usually multiple monkeys. So I love the title of your post here, When the Monkey Won't Shut Up.
Oh, yeah, the monkey, he's relentless. And that post came about because, I am working really, really hard on helping other people learn how to manage their stress. I've been working in corporate America for more than 25 years, and it is a stressful, stressful place. I had a meeting with Darren Hardy, the publisher of Success Magazine, and he told me, he said, Corey, if you want to be successful, do something and then tell other people how you did it. And I realized the one thing that I've always done is I've survived the stressful corporate world. And I began to realize, what is it that I can do to help people? And I came up with this tremendous list of books and seminars that I want to do. And I was so pumped and fired up when I went to bed last night. When I woke up this morning, all of a sudden, I can tell there's a presence in my room, and he's been there before, and I hate that presence. I hate that feeling, and when I open my eyes, I know who he is. He is the monkey of self-doubt, and he was screaming louder than ever. Who do you think you are to think you've got the kind of time to put this together, to think that you could get an audience that would be interested in what you're doing and would care? And I realized from all the research that I've been doing that monkey is really non-real. but he's so real to me. And as you and I had spoke about a week or so ago, the monkey is there because I feed him. And he's always going to come back to me if I keep feeding him. I looked at him today and I said, you know what? You're not real and I don't have to feed you. I think so many of us are prisoners to the monkeys that constantly chatter in our ears. And I finally figured out that not all monkeys are bad, but we've got to feed the monkeys that serve us and starve the monkeys that don't. What do you think about that?
I love it, and I love the whole analogy with the chains that bind us, if you will, with the graphic that you created. And it's really true, and as I had put in the comment section, is a lot of times people don't realize we have an unconscious attachment to that habit or to that monkey. So we have to ask ourselves, when we're not willing to let go of the monkey, or we're willing to actually listen to the chatter of the monkey, in other words, how is that benefiting us? Some people, when we have I don't know, you can call it victim energy, you can call it whatever you want, or drama energy. However, there's usually some sort of reason that they're holding on to it. It's like, what is the benefit for you holding on to that old, outdated belief? Because the funny part is those monkeys are the unconscious, old, outdated beliefs. So you need to kind of take each monkey and look at it. Okay, I take the one monkey and go, okay, how is this benefiting me from having the monkey? And what if, and I like the what if because it gets people out of that little space, what if I let go of that monkey? What would happen to my life if I let go of the monkey? And really start looking at where you're holding yourself back by holding on to that monkey. And you're right, it is choosing, and that's the part too, is we have to choose to want to let go of the monkey and starve that monkey, and then find the monkeys that are helpful to us, and then use them to actually help us go further in our lives.
Oh yeah, and that's where the fear monkey is incredibly difficult to get rid of. People would rather hold on to an excuse because they feel comforted by that excuse than take a chance on aggravating the fear monkey and going out and trying something different, which is, of course, letting go of the fear monkey. And so what happens is that's where the regrets that you were speaking about come in. When we sit there throughout our life and listen to the fear monkey, listen to the self-doubt monkey, listen to the guilt monkey, then what happens is that eventually we get to a stage where we have to look back at our lives and say, you know, I could have made that happen. I could have been the person that I knew I should have been, but I listened to the monkeys. The constant chatter can just wear you right out. And that's why one of the worst monkeys, and I think my very next book is going to be about, is the codependency monkey. The other monkeys wear us down so much that we look up and we say, you know what, I don't have it in me to keep fighting. And that is, of course, a false reality. And I know that you specialize in thinking about realities that don't serve us well. So could you share on that one?
Well, yeah, what I find is, like, the more and more I study the unconscious, and I actually want to touch back onto the regret piece a little bit, because I think the regret piece is so important. Because a lot of times when people, I actually had someone write on that blog that you saw, that you read, and you commented on, someone actually said they agreed and disagreed, and they actually said, well, and they went into the whole thing about, well, they don't like, some of the things they don't like as to where they are now. And my answer to that would be is, if there's something that we really don't like that in the past we've done, basically it's just taking it, reframing it, and choosing to do it differently now. Because you can't, I mean, in other words, the wasted energy we spend in the past really actually deters us from going forward. And that's what they don't understand. Like you said, the chains, okay, around our ankles, those chains are those balls and are those monkeys. And if we don't choose, if we stay so focused in the regrets, we really can't move forward. Our energy is so wasted in there. And I really find that if we get in touch with the unconscious storytelling, the unconscious mind viruses, the unconscious saboteurs, that's the part that's really holding us back. And it's usually something so simple that we haven't even thought of. And the most common ones, obviously, are, I don't want to be alone, I am not worthy, I am not good enough, I don't have the education, I don't have the money. I mean, those are the biggest ones that you see. And we really just need to tap into each one of those.
Well, one of the things that we also have to be aware of, you know, as I'm studying the psychology of stress and the biology of the brain, one of the things I've learned is that oftentimes those thoughts are so ingrained in us that what happens is they actually become an impulse or a feeling. So that in effect, our brain looks at it the same way it does if you think about putting your finger on a hot stove. So we have to really be what we call self-aware and take some time to meditate on, why did I react that way to that stimulus? Why did I react that way to this thought that came in, and all of a sudden I froze? It's because we're programming ourselves to believe in realities that just plain and simply are not facts. I read an interesting story about, if you were in a crowded movie theater and a lady stood up and slapped the guy next to her, what would you think happened? And when they polled 7 different people, they had 7 different answers, ranging from he probably said something naughty to she realized that he forgot to pay a bill to you name it, and everyone had a story. So what happened is you had 7 different realities based on one event, and probably none of those realities were in fact facts. And so we do that to ourselves. We create these realities that are oftentimes lies, and we don't need to be subject to those lies, because those lies create us in a reality that keep us from going forward, and we don't need to do that. We need to live that life we were meant to live, because I believe that we were each created for a reason, and regardless what you believe, religiously speaking, of who you were created by, you were created for a purpose. That's why you and I are so different, yet we have similar ideologies.
I agree with that, and I want to. The funny things about belief systems is it doesn't matter what religion you are. I mean, the religion, whatever it is that you believe, is going to actually influence a part of your habits or your unconscious. However, I'm going to add to that, though, also our environment and how we grew up. So as a common phrase that we say a lot is the people you surround your most, in other words, the people you're surrounded with the most are usually the types of habits that you create. So, and I always tell people, so if you don't like where you are, then go find people that are modeling or living what you do want to live, and start hanging around those people. Learn their habits. Learn how they became successful. Read, listen to. When I go for walks, I'm always listening to audiocast or podcasts from good speakers and good mentors. So go out there and find what you need. Go find the tools that you need to improve your life. And I think part of that, also the chains of the self-doubt, is the fear of asking for help. The fear where people sweep things under the carpet. If I'm not good enough, what are people going to think of me if I don't know X, Y, or Z? And that, I think, is a huge one. People need to get out of the box. There is no box. And go create what they want and find the tools that they need and get rid of those fears and move forward.
Oh, that's so important, because one of the things that you sort of alluded to but didn't say is that we can be around people who will feed our monkeys for us. And if they're feeding the wrong monkeys, we are in tough shape. I mean, everybody knows a guy who will say, Carly, you really shouldn't try that, because maybe you're not bright enough to handle that. So he's feeding your fear monkey for you. You got to get rid of people like that.
Well, and as we know, I mean, very common, a lot of the steps for any program of any kind of getting away from something is to remove yourself from all people, places, and things that trigger or basically habitual that particular thing you're trying to get rid of. So if you don't want to be around people that are addicts of any kind, you're not going to be around people like that. If you want to be around people that are negative, you don't be around people that are negative. And it's not just being around the people, it's also places and things. That's the other thing people don't realize. If you're in a negative environment, that means not just who you're around, but if you're in an environment that's disorganized, dark, filthy, that is still negativity that's going to impact how you feel. You're not going to feel happy. You're going to feel stressed out. You're going to feel the energy of the filth and the disorganization. And a lot of people don't realize that. Your body can feel that. If your house is clean, organized, lit, has light, you're going to feel happier. You're going to feel more. It's something you really can't describe, really, but your body does feel. It feels everything. No different than if Corey's yelling at me, my body can feel that energy, and I go into fear mode. If Corey's having a conversation with me, it's a positive conversation, I'm going to smile. I'm going to laugh because he's triggering that. He's, that energy, we can feel everything. And it's not just the person. It's also our space.
Oh, and I really loved the blog post that you had earlier this week that talked about how you like to walk out to the client's car with them because your belief is the way they keep one thing is the way they keep all things. And I think that's so critical because there's such a message set to our self-conscious about how we are as a person. And we can control a lot of that. You led me to write a Facebook post that said something to the effect that if your environment is not conducive to your dreams and you're not willing to alter your environment, there's only one thing left to be altered. And so I appreciate you for inspiring that post because it really gave me a big look at my own environment. Where am I more cluttered than I should be? And got my wife and I talking about that, and I think it's really important to really take a look from an outsider's perspective of how your life sets up.
And the interesting part about, and this is why I want to tie into authenticity, so many people want to portray a certain image. So they may have the fancy car and it may be clean. However, in another part of their life, it's a disaster. And so, and it does show up in other areas. So, you can think you're fooling somebody by dressing a certain way or being a certain way. However, trust me, when you're under stress, your true colors come out. When you're under stress, you're going to slip up and do something, and people are going to go, wow, I never saw that side of this person. So I really encourage people to get really authentic across all platforms. That means all areas of your life. If you want your house to be clean, you want your business to be organized, it goes across. It's the same thing, taking care of yourself. Now, I don't believe also that you have to be wearing Gucci jeans or a Gucci dress or, have the Jaguar also to fit a certain profile of you. I think that we can have, doesn't matter how much money you have, I think that you can still find ways to have an organized environment across all ways. Even if your car is a Hyundai and it's a tiny little car, that car can be as sparkly as a Jaguar. So I don't want a lot of people get tied up in the monetary, and I want to kind of take that away from this conversation because it's not about how much money you have. It's literally how you treat everything you have. I'll give you a perfect example, and I actually did mention it in the blog. I used to buy somebody really expensive gifts, and she was a gourmet cook. And I'm a gourmet cook, so I love kitchen gadgets. So I go out and buy $500 Vitamix, and I give it to the person for Christmas. Now, every time I go back and see it, the thing was trash. Now, I have a Vitamix, again, another $500 item, right? And every time that I use it, I take the time to clean it. When people look at my Vitamix, they still think it's new. They're like, wow, is this the newer model? So I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's another one is throwing your clothes on the floor. And it's like, if you're willing to throw your clothes on your floor, what else are you willing to throw? And I don't think people get this. It's something so small. However, it literally is something bigger than what most people think. So it's like we need to learn how to respect ourselves, our homes, our items. Another great example is money. I love to see people taking money out of their purses or wallets, okay? Now, you can always tell people that respect money. It'll be together, the ones, the fives, the tens, and they're crisp, or they're folded right in half, or they're in a money clip. Or you'll have the other person where the money, they just, every time they go check in and out of a store, they take the money and they throw it in their purse or their wallet. Or it goes in their pocket. And one pocket's full of change, the other pocket's got crumpled up bills. That is not respect for money. And it's kind of funny. It's like, take a dollar bill and literally just ask it, how do you value money? You'd be surprised. Or actually ask the question, do I respect money? Or just think of a question you want to ask any dollar bill. And just lay down or sit up and just hold it in front of you and ask that question. And you'll be surprised what comes into your mind about money. It's a great exercise.
Yeah, it's an amazing concept because I remember a story that Jim Rohn, the great motivational speaker, talked about the first time he had heard from one of his friends that they were a landlord and about the people that would leave the apartments just totally demolished. And he said, what a legacy is that to go ahead and leave everything you touch worse than when you found it. He said, your goal in life should be to leave everyone you come in contact with and everything you touched better than when you found it. And I think if you could just do that, your life is going to be on a good road. And I think a lot of times how we view the world in terms of how it is wonderful already, but how we could maybe put a little bit of sparkle into it with our own spin can really, really help our perspective. I think it's important that we're always grateful for what is, regardless of how much it costs, but we do the best with what we have. It doesn't necessarily mean what you have is better or worse than what everybody else has. It's what you do with what you have that really sets you apart.
Oh, exactly, and that's why I brought the piece about money, because a lot of people get trapped. Well, if I had thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, if I was a millionaire, I could. And I go, okay, well, how about starting with what you have? If you can tell the universe that if you can manage and respect what you have, you're likely going to get more. However, if you have, even if it's a little bit, and you're trashing it and you're respecting it, why should anybody, and I use the word universe a lot of people don't agree with that because, it's woo-woo, or whatever. However, all I'm going to say is, I don't care what terminology you use, if you don't respect what you have, no matter how small or how large it is, whether it be anything, I'm not just talking about money here, then why should anybody, or, like I would say, the universe, give you anything more if you're not going to be able to handle responsibly with what you have?
Oh, for sure. Let's just touch on that universe, business, and woo-woo thing. I agree totally with your philosophy that there is such a thing as an energy that you are sending out. And all you have to do, if you don't believe that, is go sit in a Walmart for an hour. And you can tell who's putting out negative energy, and you can tell who's putting out positive energy. And the thing is, when you're putting out positive energy, people are going to want to include you in what they're doing. And the more you're putting out better energy, the better things you'll get included in. Put out negative energy, and you are going to get included in negative things. I'll give you an example. One night I'm walking out of work, and here's this guy walking across the Walmart parking lot with a shirt, and it literally said the four-letter word that starts with F, and the second word was you. And I thought about this guy, and I thought, I bet he thinks the world is out to get him. And obviously there's a message that he's sending to me as I'm just passing along him, versus the guy walking along with a Mickey Mouse tie or, a big funny hat or whatever it is. That energy that you set out really does a lot to determine your outcomes. It really does.
So I'm going to go back to the woo-woo thing for a minute. I'll give a perfect example how people can actually know that everybody can feel things. When I meet Corey, I am instantly going to hate Corey or love Corey. And sometimes you just don't even know why. I know everybody that's listening to this at some point in their life has had the feeling where they've met someone and they instantly hated them or loved them and had no clue why. They never met the person, it's like they never even, it's the very first encounter. That very first encounter you are either going to love somebody or not. And that is a feeling. That is an energetic connection that you're feeling. And, everybody's had that experience.
Well, you can tell by the way a person picks up the phone. I call another Walmart, and the guy goes, yeah, Walmart. I know I don't even want to talk to him. Versus, hi, this is Haley, and I'm hoping you're having a really good day. How can I help you? I mean, can you not see there's a humongous difference in every part of their life?
Actually, one of the training salespeople, and I always tell my clients, anyways, when we're talking, the other person should be able to hear us smiling.
Exactly.
Seriously. And they actually have all these little techniques, whether when you're actually doing a webinar or you're teaching, or to stand up. Because if you're sitting, especially if we're talking about recorded things, but if you're sitting, you tend to have more low energy. So if you're standing and it brings more vitality or energy to your being. So there's so many wonderful tools and tips to creating a happy environment. Put wonderful, inspiring posters above your desk. You just have to create the environment that's going to create those smiles. So the people you're connecting with, especially if you're doing a lot of, like you and I do, we do a lot of coaching through Skype, through phone, through blogs or emails, wherever we work. We don't always meet people in person because obviously people all around the world. We have to get comfortable with being able to use technology, and with the technology, we still have to emote. It's like when you and I do this video, I also create a podcast. That means our smiles, our energy has to carry forth onto that podcast. I hear so many times I listen to podcasts, and I swear to God, I turn them off because they have no energy. It's like, hi, how are you? We're going to talk about, and so it's such a slow energy. It's such actually no affect. It has no personality. And so I always tell people, even if you're doing a podcast and it's not a video, that podcast has to carry emotion. People have to be able to hear your dips and your highs and your intonations and your personality. They need to be able to hear that.
Oh yeah, the one thing that is always true is that you're successful to the degree that you create value. And value is created by the effort that you put into anything. And if you can't create enough effort to speak so that you can get the other person as excited about what you're talking about as you are, then you need to reevaluate your plan. You need to understand that other people are on the other end of the line, and whether the line be the phone, the Skype, or even you and I looking at each other right now eye to eye, the other person is at the other end of the line, and if you're sending out a signal that says you're anything less than interested in what you're talking about, they assume you are less than interested in them. And
Absolutely.
That's where that energy is so important.
I agree. That is such a vital piece. And, we want to impact people. And if you do want to impact people, if you do want to empower, if you do want to inspire, that tone in your voice also is determining that. If I'm criticizing Corey, and let's say I want to give him feedback, and my tone is going to tell him, in his mind, I'm either criticizing or I'm actually giving him valuable feedback. So, and that's one of a lot of reasons why I always tell my clients all the time, this is a big one, don't give people feedback by email, because there is no tonality in email, and everybody reads. You can have 100 people read an email, and every single person is going to take an email differently. Like, for example, I use capitalizations for a point. And a lot of people, especially in the internet world, if you do caps, oh my God, you're yelling at me. Why are you yelling at me? And it's like, whoa. And so I always tell them, if you need to have a conversation with someone, inbox them, hey, do you have time for a Skype or a phone call? I'd really love to reach out to you and talk about this. Do not do feedback by email. Either do it in person or have the conversation on Skype or a phone, so people can actually see your face, so they can hear your tones and your body language. Because you're immediately going to get someone going to go, they're criticizing me. Their walls are going to come up, and they're not going to hear anything you're saying at all.
Oh yeah, one thing I'd really like to add that is from a leadership standpoint, what email has the nasty habit of doing is saying, hey, drop what you're doing and work on my issue. Whatever you're doing isn't near as important as my concern. And I think that you're right. There are times when you have got to pick up the phone, you have got to go there in person and look that person in the eyes and let your heart touch their heart and say, okay, this isn't working the way I'd like to see it work. What if, I love that sentence you used before, what if, and go from there. But definitely take responsibility for the fact that when you hit the send button, that is your signature going out.
And the scary part people don't get too is, in technology, people could just cut and paste and send out whatever you're sending and going viral. And that's why, actually, another person just recently wrote a post on people being too nice on the platforms. Like, doesn't anyone have an opinion anymore? That they're willing to offend people? And it's like, I don't think people understand that what we say and do goes everywhere. And even if my opinion might be, I think that we can still share opinions. I just think it's how we deliver opinions. And I think that's where a lot of big issues are in the social media platforms. When people are using curse words, telling each other off, you're wrong, I'm right, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're not going to really empower or inspire people. I can have a different opinion than Corey, and Corey and I actually do disagree on things, but we have the conversation here, and he's actually bringing up his other side. And that is the reason why I like doing shows like when I do with Rick or I do with you or anybody else. Having a male and a female is two different energies, and having a male and female shows the different points of view. And I think that's so important, because this way people are getting two perspectives, not just mine, not just Corey's. It's a blend of both and, if you will.
You betcha. And there's a humongous difference between expressing my opinion and respecting yours, and they do not need to be mutually exclusive. But unfortunately, the technology world makes that very easy to do.
I agree. I mean, I think that we can comment on people's blogs or posts, what have you. I just think you have common sense. If there's something you truly disagree with, that is also when I might have a conversation, especially someone I know. If Corey wrote something and I'm like, hey, I read that and I would love to discuss it a little further. It's just, first of all, you have to know your audience. You have to know who you can talk to and how they're going to react. And I can always tell by how they post. If someone's posting on my page regularly, I can tell by what their comments are and how they're posting, how they're going to react to me saying, hey, let's have a conversation. So get to know your fans. Get to know your walking ambassadors. Who is in your tribe? I mean, I love my tribe. We talk to each other, we inspire each other, we empower each other, and we also give each other feedback. And we know that we are giving each other feedback. We're not doing it from a place of, I'm better than you. We're doing it from a place of, hey, look at this. You might want to attempt to do this next time. So I love that.
Oh, for sure. And there's a time when you send Carly a direct message and you don't put it all over her blog that she's worked so hard about to go and express your platform in a derogatory manner. That's when you send Carly a direct message, you do what you said. Hey, maybe we could get together offline some way and hash this out because I really want to learn more.
Well, Corey, it is ending of our time today, and I'm just like, I think you and I could talk forever, and hours and hours and hours. So, I want to keep these relatively short so that people can actually get our golden nuggets. And everyone, please leave us feedback. We love feedback. Anything you'd love to hear about, me and Corey would love to talk about. I also do a lot of stuff with Rick as well. So I will be creating a podcast from this for my audio folks. I will be creating a video for my visual folks, and it'll all be in a wonderful blog. And that'll all go out with everybody's information. And as always, I so look forward to having you, Corey, and your information for your website and everything will be there for someone to find you in all sorts of platforms. And once again, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. I can't tell you how much I enjoy these conversations and how powerful they are through my weeks. I really try to take those information that we go through and really rehash it over and over and say, am I using this information to serve me and others? So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And hi to Tanya for me.
Oh, yeah. I'll make sure she knows.
Okay. Have a good one.
You
Talk
too.
to
Take
later.
care.
Bye.